Welcome into the FFPC Weekly Preview. Week 10 season is flying by. As always, I'm your host, Aidan Liquorie. Dave Terp is joining me. Weird season rolls on after last week. Terp did great on his picks last week. He had a very winning week. Justin Jefferson, I think, was one touchdown away from giving you a complete sweep. I was the opposite. I went 0 for 4 on watching these games, being like, boy, anyone watching is just thinking I'm an idiot after last week. So you know what? We're gonna try and improve it this week, Terp. For on my end, I need you to keep on doing what you did last week.
I'm going
Make
to
sure
try.
an excellent showing. For me, I'm gonna try and get at least one on the board after going 0 for Terp. Let's just jump right in as always. Friends don't let friends start. Who are you kind of wary of this week?
This guy, I think, is going to be very, very popular. He's going to be started in almost every format. I went a little off the wall with this and tried to be a little different. James Conner last week was a little easy. I mean, I know he came back off the injury. My guy this week is David Montgomery against the Lions defense. I know most people are going to be like, it's a smash spot. I just feel like Herbert's the better player. And I feel like the Lions, might have figured something out last week. Packers were dreadful, just ugly overall. And then you're sitting there and with Herbert just continue to emerge. Justin Fields taking the next step. Seems like they're developing the passing game more. Mooney, playing well. Claypool, obviously taking a step in there. So I feel like Montgomery is going to be a guy that will score 10 points or under this week.
Yeah, keep in mind what you said about the Lions. That's going to come back for some of my list. My friends don't let friends start. A guy I've actually mentioned a couple of weeks ago. I'm just going to go back to that well and just hope it hits because he went off when I did it last time. Aaron Jones, he's banged up, facing a really good Cowboys defense, and overall, as you mentioned, the Packers just that offense looks rough. I know Aaron Jones is
Terrible.
maybe the one bright spot here and there, but it's really just that combo of what that offense has done combined with the fact they're playing that really, really good Dallas defense. I'm staying away from all Packers. Aaron Jones, maybe you're like, oh, maybe a spot Garbo time, check downs, but no banged up ankle. I know he's been cleared, he's going to play, but just scares me all around. So I'm just staying away from him this week. They look bad. They look
Really bad.
really
The
bad.
biggest
That is,
the biggest joke this year in all of the NFL. I
I
mean,
mean, we've
even the
seen the
games they won this year were not good. I
yeah,
mean,
we're seeing kind of the end of that era of quarterbacks. Brady struggled. Uh,
injuries. I mean, receivers are all
Roger,
banged up. Jones is banged
yeah,
up. It just doesn't seem like Rodgers cares anymore. Like he's talking like the
no.
dad, but
I mean, it's probably favored Rogers is retired next year at this point, right?
I
Is
don't think
that
it's
weird
a
to say?
favorite that he retires or he has to be traded.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
don't
see
know.
there being any world where he's back in Green Bay. I
Yeah,
just
it's like
don't.
I'm with you on that one. Terp,
Unless they make this a monster deal for a receiver.
yeah, I if I'm predicting right now, I think he retires, and that's what a lot of reports seem to say. Terp, as I mentioned in the start, you were one touchdown away from Justin Jefferson of getting your two touchdown guarantee. Who's your two touchdown guarantee this week? You went 1 for 2 last week. You're trying to go 2 for 2 this week.
There's a couple easy ones I could pick. I really like Christian McCaffrey, obviously, Saquon Barkley, both in great matchups. So, but I'm gonna try to go a little bit different. I still think it's a chalkier pick, but I feel like the Browns defense will be targeting Tyreek Hill a lot. I feel like Denzel Ward, they're going to be leaving a lot of man coverage with Jalen Waddle. I feel like he's going to be that guy this week that just has that big time. Tua's and the Miami offense have been buzzing. I mean, definitely didn't see it, the explosion that they've been doing in Miami with both of those just crazy talented receivers. So my two touchdown guarantee will be Jalen Waddle.
Who's your MVP at this point in the season?
I mean, I have a lot of Jalen Hurts futures, so I'm going to be biased. I
Okay.
think it's him, but it's a three-man race. I don't really see there being any other option. I know people can try to put Tua in there, but he deserves definitely some consideration. But if Hurts continues and the Eagles lose one game, I think if they lose two, I think he'd be out of it. But one game that he's starting, I think he's the favorite. Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, I think is going to play tomorrow based off what I saw today. It's a three-man race, which I think Hurts just has a little bit of an advantage because Kansas City has, definitely some tough games coming up, and the Eagles don't play anybody.
No. Yeah, I would say it's actually a 4. Mahomes, Allen, as you said, although he's kind of been banged up, hurts, and then I do think two accounts. Tua hasn't lost
It's correct.
games he has
Buffalo.
hurt.
He definitely has
And
that in his bag too.
it's also just statistics. If he can keep this up, those kind of games that he lost due to injury might just be ignored because statistically he's kind of terrible.
I mean, he's definitely a dark horse. He's definitely the guy with the best value right now.
Yeah, your pick though for your futures that you have, I could maybe my pick for 2 touchdown guarantee could boost his chances. I'm going with AJ Brown. It's simple. It's just AJ Brown against the Texans. Thought it was a lock to go off. Had the touchdown. Honestly, put up a solid fantasy showing, but the touchdown kind of saved him points wise because really didn't do that much. They kind of grinded that game through. It's just one of those sluggish games that the good teams find ways to win. That's what they did. I think AJ Brown goes off. The Commanders aren't good. Heineke's a fun story. They're a little more exciting now, obviously since the Wentz injury in terms of the storylines, but they still are not a good team. AJ Brown torches that secondary. He is an explosion. Give me him for my 2 touchdown guarantee. I think I've picked Hurts for a 2 touchdown guarantee once rushing. I think I picked AJ Brown before. Just go back to the Eagles. Well, it's an easy way to try and have a chance at these. Terp, you all must have forgot who's the guy that people aren't talking about enough this week.
I think this is all systems go for Kadarius Toney. Why can't I speak tonight? Hardman might not play. It's questionable. He might be out there. I could see him sitting him down with a game against Jacksonville, which they should win at home. I feel like Toney he's shown some flashes in the offense. He's not playing a ton of snaps yet, but I feel like this could be the week against a suspect Jacksonville defense that he takes the top off and he starts gelling with Mahomes more. Kadarius Toney is a guy that mostly won't be started in any leagues this week that should be.
Yeah, Kadarius Toney in those like limited snaps that he did, saw limited action, limited touches last week, got us fantasy owners going because he
hamstring.
Yeah, look great. This is kind of like a cheating one, but I just want to say DeAndre Swift is my you almost have forgot, and I'm saying it you almost forgot not as a guy who's ranked incredibly low. I get that. I am kind of breaking our rules a bit, but just we forget how good he was prior to the injury.
A lot of chatter about him this week. A lot of coaches calling him out. A lot of him saying he wants the ball more.
Yeah, he's no injury designation for the first time in weeks. He hasn't really had a productive fantasy game since week 2. Besides 2 weeks ago, he did have a touchdown trying to save it, but he has limited usage. The Bears defense, we love Fields and what he's become. That defense gives up points. I'm all in on the Lions this week and what their offense kind of getting back to what we saw earlier in the year. Don't forget how good DeAndre Swift is. I think obviously most people are starting him, but this was more of a you almost forgot of like, don't forget how good this guy is. I think he explodes this weekend. It reminds us what he can bring to the table. So DeAndre Swift, don't forget how good he is kind of my statement there. Terp, play of the week. Who you got?
This is definitely a little off the wall. He's a guy that was kind of an afterthought in drafts. He was definitely the third option on the team. But right now, in my opinion, he's the number 1 option. Josh Palmer looks like he's gelling very well with Justin Herbert. No Mike Williams, no Keenan Allen. A game script that should be in the Chargers' favor. I expect the 49ers to win that game pretty handedly. So I expect Herbert and Everett and Palmer all to get there. Michael Bandy's another guy, if you're desperate this week, that I think could score a touchdown as a bold prediction. He looked not bad last week, caught some passes. Looks like Herbert, he could be a short. I don't think he's going to be getting down the field much, but he's definitely a guy I could see, scoring. But I feel like Josh Palmer has all the makings of a big week this week. 49er secondary is okay. I mean, their defense obviously is their pass rush is their strength. So I feel like Josh Palmer could get a 7 for 90 and maybe 2 touchdowns.
Terp, I told you at the start of the show when you mentioned the Lions maybe figuring out this wasn't the most explosive showing for their offense, but I'm all in. DeAndre Swift, don't forget about him. Amon-Ra St. Brown's my player of the week.
Please, where's he been?
Really all goes back to just the Bears and just how poor their defense has been, and they've been in some shootouts recently. Waddle and Tyreek killed them. I just think that Amon-Ra St. Brown, 9 targets and 10 targets this past 2 weeks. The volume target-wise has been there. It hasn't necessarily resulted in touchdowns, and catches, I should say, that we've come to expect based on his great start. He's really cooled off. This is the week that the Lions offense gets back on track.
I hope you're right.
He gets back on track. He's going to have a ton of targets. He's going to actually turn them into yardage and touchdowns this week. So give me Amon-Ra St. Brown.
I love your calls this week. I think this could be your week.
I I think every week's my week, and then it's just Devontae was the big one last week. I was pretty strong in that my belief and how poor the Raiders have looked, and they did lose, but he went off, and that was a tough scene. But this week maybe is the week. Terp, as always, thank you for your picks. We'll be back maybe next week. Terp, you might be busy, so we'll see.
I will find a way to be on the show. I don't know how long, but I will be on the show. We may record it a little early. Might do it like maybe Wednesday, but we'll definitely get something out there.
We'll figure something out for sure. So as always, thank you everyone for watching. We'll be back next week, and good luck with all your lineup decisions.